I want to ask you just your assessment right now of how serious the situation is with North Korea.
The situation is very serious. We're prepared as we have been for years, and it's our preparedness that is our best deterrent. But we take his threats and his developments very seriously.
I know there's been lots of rhetoric in the past, and we sort of go through these cycles where you think he's going to do a test and he doesn't, or
Right.
he does. But this does seem different because of the advances they've made. Do you see it that way?
Well, what we see is that they've been on our R&D program here for the last year.
Research and development.
Right. There's been some 20 provocations, as we call them, here in the last year. And they don't necessarily seem to always be connected to events like might have happened in previous administrations. And so it seems like he's just on this path or trying to develop, this newer technologies, this ballistic missile technologies.
Have you seen anything different in the last few days or few weeks with North Korean troops or forces?
No, we haven't seen anything specific. We obviously monitor them very closely, and we haven't seen anything that would be alarming here in the recent time.
But what would you say to the American people about the threat level from North Korea?
I would say that the threat is high. I would say that we're prepared to deal with that threat should it come to that. But our principal goal for this defensive alliance is to deter that, to show that we have overwhelming combat power available to us, both here on the Republic of Korea and also available to us throughout the Pacific and from the United States and other allies. And that if they were to choose that path, it would be fruitless. And so deterrence is really what our goal is.
What concerns you most? What action he might take concerns you most at this point?
So our biggest concern is that he's going to miscalculate. That's always the number one concern. So we want to make it crystal clear to the North Korean leadership that this would be a completely futile endeavor were he to challenge this strong, ironclad bilateral alliance.
And just give me an idea what that would look like. If he made a miscalculation, if he fired a missile into Seoul or dropped some sort of artillery into Seoul.
Well, we've had the opportunity to see multiple provocations over the last year, so we're familiar with some of the things that he's done, and we've been able to deal with it very professionally, very dispassionately, very thoughtfully. And so we know how to respond to those sorts of provocations. And we hope that he will not cross the line to do something more dangerous than that.
President Trump obviously has not taken a military option off the table, and there's talk of a preemptive strike. Do you feel prepared to respond if we do that?
So we're a defensive alliance, and we're here to deter war. And those sorts of policy options are well outside the purview of the military. So our job is to defend and to be prepared to provide options to our national leadership should they elect to choose a different path.
Do you have any sense how Kim Jong-un would respond if, in fact, we did something like a preemptive strike?
So I can't even comprehend, some sort of actions that might be taken. The alliances exist to be defensive in nature, and that's our position.
How much more difficult is it because it's the Hermit Kingdom? We don't know a lot
Right.
about North Korea.
Yeah, it's funny. As long as we've been looking at North Korea, there's still a lot we don't know about it because it's a very closed society. And while some of their technologies we think are backwards, they've been very rapidly pursuing some of these, as we call them, asymmetric technologies, such as ballistic missiles, which are not to be taken lightly. But it is very difficult to know exactly what's going on inside North Korea.
Do you have a sense that he may, in fact, conduct another underground nuclear test?
I don't know. We hope he doesn't. We hope he chooses to not do that. We know that he has the capability of doing that, and that there's preparations that have been taken to be able to accomplish another nuclear test, but we hope he doesn't choose that path.
Do you sense that he could any minute?
That's always possible, yes.
And in terms of the ballistic missile, his hope clearly is to miniaturize a nuclear warhead and put it on an ICBM.
Well, that's what it seems to be. I mean, I don't know that for a fact, but it sure seems to be that that's the path that he wants to go on, is developing this sort of technology.
And in terms of deterrence,
Right.
if he achieves that goal, how does that change the equation?
Well, we've dealt with nuclear deterrence in other forums. We hope again that it doesn't get to that because the international community has made it quite clear to his regime that it'd be unacceptable, his development of both nuclear weapons and the technologies to deliver them. And so, the UNSCRs and all the other international community has come together to isolate him, and let him know that would be unacceptable.
And I just want to go back again to the American people watching it, and I know you're always prepared here, but because we have a new president, and he, no doubt, Kim Jong-un wants to test him in the same way that dynamic works, is this, from your time here, from watching here, one of the more dangerous times?
I would say that there's certainly, you can feel the tensions. Over the course since 1953, I can't tell you that this has been any more intense than we've had in other times when we've had, ROK Navy ships sunk. So there's been some very difficult provocations over the course of the years since 1953. And within that context, this may not be, as dramatic as it was right then, or at least felt right then. But clearly this is serious. And they need to know that we are prepared and that this defensive alliance is strong and ready to fight tonight.
Kim Jong-un is basically saying that he could strike and take out any of the American military bases. Could that happen?
No. No, they could try, but as you saw today, out here you have Air Defense Artillery Brigade, and they have the technology, the capability, and they're ready to intercept those kinds of missiles. So they could try, it would be futile.
And then what would happen?
Well, then we would follow the direction of our national command authorities.
Okay, great. Thank you.